Welcome, everyone. This is Tech for Senior. Huey, it's 200, episode 241.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. That's not bad. It is, of course, the 18th of November. And I guess next Thursday is the big holiday, right?
Yes, here in the US, it is Thanksgiving.
It is going to be Thanksgiving. So, in honor of that, and to give everybody a bit of a rest, I just want to remind everybody there will be no Tech for Senior live next Thursday. Okay, but we will have a
Thanksgiving Day.
yeah, and we will have a Monday show, and there will be a show the following Monday. So that programming will stay the same. The only one that will be different will be next Thursday, where we'll give everyone a day off to have some family time, so we won't have
This
a show
coming
yet.
Thursday is going to be a meeting because you're celebrating my birthday.
Yes, yes, yes. But the following Thursday, the
Speaking of
following,
turkeys,
that's right. The following, speaking of turkeys. All right, you guys. Anyway, so welcome everyone, and this is we're gonna have we have a great show for you today. I'm really excited. We have some very interesting presentations. For those of you who saw our newsletter this last Saturday, we're going to talk a lot about AI today, and the one of the things that people often say when they have AI is, what would I use it for? So my article about on Saturday was about things that seniors could use AI for, and it's a good article. So have a look at that. We're going to be talking more about that today. But as we get approaching Black Friday, which is my exciting times, and even though Bob played that minimalist video last weekend about not buying things, we we should we are coming up to Black Friday. And so in our newsletter tomorrow, what's the tomorrow? Yeah, it'll be out tomorrow. I'm going to be putting in my article will be I made 3 videos. Consider how to purchase a PC in 2024, how to purchase a Chromebook, and also purchase a Apple device. And those are 3 videos recently and you've seen them. I played that, but I'm going to put those for if you want a quick reference, they'll be in the article tomorrow, along with the 3 I did the year before. So if you are considering buying a new device, and there's a lot of great deals coming out, then of course I would recommend having a look at those articles. Maybe they can be helpful for you. And of course, you won't see those articles unless you subscribe to our newsletter. And we want to thank, of course, our sponsors for the newsletter, which is the Central Florida Computer Society. There's of course, Geeks on Tour, which is here. Thank you so much, Chris and Jim. And then, of course, we have the Glendora Seniors Computer Club in California. Thank you so much. So please continue supporting those folks, because they keep the newsletter going. Thanks so much. Want to thank I don't know, is John Burnett here? John's a new person that's coming, and he gave a donation. Thank you so much to John. I'm not sure where John lives, if he's in the United States, but he gave a very generous donation. I think that's about it. We'll have, of course, our show on this coming Thursday. The premiere video that we'll be playing at 1/2 is a great one. There, it starts out with technology in Africa. And about a year ago, Jennifer, my daughter, talked about technology in Africa, and that will be hers. Chris Gould's going to talk about searching Google Photos, and Huey's going to talk about handling fake friend requests. So that will be at 1/2, and I'll put the link in the show notes for you for that. Huey, how the heck are you
yes,
doing today?
I'm doing great. Besides Thursday, I also have 2 presentations I'm doing this week, and then Friday is the Let's Talk AI show that I do. And if anyone's interested in
Oh,
that,
is it?
just email me, Huey@huey.net. I'll add you to the list. I haven't sent out the newsletter yet that has the link to the meeting, and it's the same link each time.
I remember. I thought you just did that. The time is flying by so fast.
I know time flies when you're having fun.
It sure does. And Bob, we won't ask you how old you're going to be on Thursday, but do you want us to sing your happy birthday now to you, or do you want to wait till Thursday?
Oh, you could do it on Thursday.
Right. Okay. And
That way
Ray,
I know
you
I
are
make it when I hear it. So
okay. And Ray, you are back from Sin City. Now, I know that you're not supposed to talk about anything that happened at Sin City, but can you just give us a little glimpse of what you did there?
I attended with Carol the Author Nation Writers Conference. My main purpose of going was to help Carol, of course, but the interesting thing was the discussions on AI, and there were a lot of them. And they mentioned a lot of AI apps that I'd never even heard of. And I can tell you the bottom line is I listened to somebody talk from one of the writing groups about 2 years ago on a YouTube video, and this one person was dead against AI being used in the writing field for either fiction or nonfiction, and mostly fiction. And it's changed. Everybody was 100% behind it. Some very knowledgeable speakers. I will try to do a presentation on some of the things I learned in the coming weeks.
Excellent. Thank you.
And driving back, I learned that we are in snow season.
Oh, really?
Not much. I mean, didn't stick, but it was snowing pretty heavily just outside of Flagstaff as we were driving back.
Well, Bob beat you. Bob got snow before you.
And he can beat me every day of the week.
don't want
Right.
to.
Well, it's welcome back, and it's nice to see you back. And of course, Chris and Jim, great show yesterday. I really enjoyed that as always. But as I said earlier, I learned a lot, and I certainly liked Timeline. And maybe we should do a show about Timeline. I'm not sure everybody understands really what it is.
Well, since it's yeah.
Wait until it changed
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and then go fresh. But yeah, no snow down here in sunny South
Well,
Florida.
of course.
No.
It's 80 degrees or nearly 80 degrees and perfect sunny weather. So
Yeah, here in
And we're-
Bradenton, it's supposed to go into the 50s Wednesday.
Wow.
it's getting comfy to sleep out in the campgrounds now. So we might get out and do a little bit of that.
All right. All right. Well, let's get on with the show. Bob, are you ready to roll?
I'm always ready to roll.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Here is my tech talk for the week ending November 15th, 2024. And this week's topic, how to build an effective home security system on a budget. Home security has come a long way. You no longer need a Hollywood movie-style budget with infrared lasers and guard dogs, though the dog might still be a good idea. Today, you can create a safe, secure home setup for a fraction of the cost with a bit of do-it-yourself effort and some savvy shopping. Here's how to do it. Number 1, get started with cameras, the eyes of your home. A camera or two is a great first investment. Choose ones that are budget-friendly and easy to install. Outdoor security cameras. Look for models with night vision and motion detection. A good entry-level option is the Wise Cam, between $30 and $50. It's affordable, wireless, and accessible through an app, so you can keep an eye on your place while lounging on the beach. Indoor cameras. For indoor monitoring, affordable models like the Blink Mini, about $35, lets you check in on pets, kids, and houseplants while adding an extra layer of security. Tip: keep your cameras visible. Burglars often think twice when they know Big Brother, or, well, you, is watching. Number 2, smart doorbell. Stop intruders at the front door. Your front door is prime real estate for security. A video doorbell allows you to see, hear, and talk to whoever is at the front door, even if you're not home. Budget option. The Wise Video Doorbell, about $60, includes HD video, night vision, and two-way audio. It's like having a digital bouncer at your door. I personally have been very satisfied with the many SmartWise devices I own. Why, it's worth it. Video doorbells not only help deter thieves, especially those pesky package thieves, but also let you keep tabs on visitors. Pro tip: many models require Wi-Fi, but not a subscription. Just double-check any hidden fees before buying. Number 3, motion detectors and door window sensors. Catch movement before it matters. Adding motion detectors and sensors to your doors and windows creates a perimeter of protection. Many affordable options are quick to install and can make an intruder think twice when they hear that unexpected beep. Affordable options. A pack of basic sensors costs around $20. Place them on high-risk doors and windows, especially on the ground floor. Motion sensors. For about $10 to $15 each, add these to key areas where someone would have to pass through, like your entryway or near valuables. Even a small noise can startle intruders, so it doesn't have to be fancy to be effective. Number 4, illuminate with motion sensor lights. No shadows for shady characters. Burglars thrive on darkness, so take that away by adding motion-activated lights around the perimeter of your home. Budget-friendly option, motion lights range from $20 to $60. Position them near entry points, such as doorways, garages, and hidden side doors. Bonus, they add curb appeal, and you'll be grateful for the light when you're fumbling for your keys after dark. Tip: if you already have outdoor lights, consider adding motion detecting bulbs to save money. Number 5, use smart plugs and timers to create the illusion of presence. Sometimes security is all about making it look like someone's home. Use smart plugs or timers to turn on lights, the TV, or even a radio. Cost-effective setup. Timers can be as low as $5, while smart plugs run about $10 to $15. Program them to switch lights on and off at random times to keep intruders guessing. Why it works. Burglars are more likely to target homes that seem unoccupied. A flickering light or sound can make them reconsider. Fun fact: the Home Alone movie trick of setting up a party with cardboard cutouts on a timer might not be practical, but timed lights are close enough. Number 6, fake it till you make it. Signs and dummy cameras. If you can't cover every angle with real security equipment, a few decoys can help. Fake cameras. These cost as little as $10, and their mere presence can discourage would-be intruders. Just mount them where they're visible but hard to reach. Security signs. Even if you don't subscribe to a security service, you can still use the signs. Yard signs and window decals stating 24/7 security monitoring can be a great deterrent. Pro tip: make sure your real equipment, like cameras, is obvious and dummy cameras blend in. The idea is to create doubt, not challenge burglars to find which ones are real. Number 7, don't forget good old-fashioned locks. The best security sometimes starts with the basics. Deadbolts. A high-quality deadbolt costs $15 to $30 and provides extra protection against forced entry. Smart locks. From about $100, a smart lock lets you lock and unlock your door from anywhere, which is helpful if you tend to lose keys or have kids coming home alone. Pro tip: for sheds, garages, or other buildings, don't forget a good old padlock. It might not be high tech, but it's effective. Final thoughts. Building a security system doesn't have to break the bank. Start with the essentials and remember that each addition, from motion lights to a strategically placed fake camera, can make your home less inviting to intruders. Stay safe, stay secure, and if anyone ever asks about your setup, just smile and say, "Oh, it's a very advanced system." You'll find the video used in today's Tech Talk at the link listed. Did you know the Japanese word kuchi zamichi is the act of eating when you're not hungry because your mouth is lonely? It's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland. It's considered animal abuse because they're social beings and get lonely. Halloween is big business in the U.S. Every year, Americans collectively spend over $12 billion on Halloween candy, costumes, and decorations. Just thought you might like to know. The greater the interest involved in a truth, the more careful, self-distrustful, and patient should be the inquiry, thanks to Harriet Beecher Stowe. Carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, safe in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same for you, thanks to Princess Diana. And that's a wrap for this week's Tech Talk and Beyond. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for reading, watching, and listening.
Thanks, Bob. Excellent presentation. And of course, we've talked a lot about security cameras before, and it's lots of choice, right? Lots of choice out there. And actually, coming up to Black Friday, probably there'll be lots on sale, so there'll be some good deals, eh?
Yeah, I'm already getting bombarded by special offers towards Black Friday, way before.
Right. Exactly. All right, we're going to move on now, and Bob and I have teed up to do a video about Gemini, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. As I said earlier, maybe some of you weren't here at the beginning of our preamble before the show, but I talked about being out for dinner last night and having dinner, and there was about 8 people at the table, and afterwards someone said, "Ron, what are you talking about tomorrow?" And I said, "Gemini." And they said, "What's that?" And I said, "AI." And they said, "Well, that's artificial intelligence, isn't it?" And they said, "Well, I don't know how we could possibly use that." And so we had a little demonstration, and I won't go into the whole thing, but of course, well, we sit up here and we're talking about AI all the time, and we're very focused in it. I know a lot of you maybe you've never even used it. You haven't thought about why you would use it, or maybe you can't possibly imagine why you would want to use it. So today's video, Bob and I have teed up to give you a little more of the basic approach to this and how to get started. So let's have a look at the video and see where we go with this. Google Photos is getting a Gemini infusion to power its search. New in Maps, inspiration curated with Gemini, enhanced navigation, and more. Gemini infused Google smart speakers and displays that might be just around the corner. Google's Gemini A now has its own iPhone app. Gemini Live may let you talk to it about your uploaded files. These are just some of the news articles that we talked about on our Thursday show about Gemini this week. I'm Ron Brown. This is Tech for Senior, where we help people understand technology and artificial intelligence. You know, I asked a senior this week, "Do you use artificial intelligence?" And they said to me, "Well, you know, it's very interesting, but I don't see any reason why I would want to use it." You also may be very confused about all the different models of artificial intelligence. And of course, we have with Microsoft, we have Copilot. And with Google, we have Gemini. And we of course have ChatGPT. And of course, Facebook AI, lots of choices. So if you wanted to get started and you're going to choose one, which one should you use? In my Saturday newsletter that was just published, of course, last Saturday, I put a whole list. I think there was 8 or 10 reasons how artificial intelligence can help seniors do some of the things that they want to do. So it's a good article to go back and read for those of you who have subscribed. But if you use Google Maps, Google Photos, Google Drive, Google Assistant, anything Google in your life, then you should be using Gemini because it's going to help you and it's very easy. There are some things that Tech for Senior over the past few years we've tackled that have been difficult concepts. And some of those could be passkeys. And of course, two-factor authentication. Everyone has trouble with that. And also password managers. Boy, have we done a lot of teaching and work about those. I understand that that can be complicated, but when we're talking about artificial intelligence, nothing could be easier. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to know. It's all run by what we call chatbots. You just talk to it. There's nothing you need to know. You just simply talk to it like another person. So I might say something like this. Send an email to Huey and tell him our meeting tomorrow is delayed by 1 hour. Please adjust my Google Calendar and confirm this with me. All done. Bingo. It's all done like that for you. Now, what couldn't be easier? And if you said, well, I don't know how to do that, it's going to tell you how to do it as well. Very easy to do. So since this is going to be a big part of your life, if you're not participating in this and you're using any of those Google products, you're going to be missing out big time. And since it's so simple and free, not a dime are you going to have to spend on this, this is something you should be interested in. All right, let's look at how you would get Gemini. So we're going to tackle in mobile first. So let's look at Android. So if you have an Android phone, you might have a Pixel phone. Google Assistant has been replaced by Gemini. So you don't have to do anything. Gemini will be installed on your Pixel phone. Let's say you have a Samsung Android phone. Well, you have Bixby. Yay! Or some people would say, anyway. So in order to get Gemini, you have to download the Gemini app from the Play Store. And that will install on your phone, and you can then replace Bixby as your assistant with Gemini. Now, on the iPhone, the news this week was that, of course, Gemini just got released for the iPhone, and it has its own app. So exactly the same app. Works exactly the same way. Download it onto your iPhone, and you'll have your copy of Gemini running. Now, within Gemini, and Bob did an excellent video I'm going to play in a moment about this, I wanted just to explain the difference between Gemini and Gemini Live. Gemini Live is a blast, but let me tell you the differences. So Gemini Live is conversational AI. In other words, it's like Miss A. You can sit and talk to it all day long. It'll answer you, discuss the politics of the world. You can just talk to it as your best friend all day long. You do need an internet connection, and it is processed in the cloud. The important thing that you have to understand for security reasons, that is not connected to any data on your phone. We're talking now about mobile. So the Gemini Live is not connected to any data on your phone. And that's so you can't ask it to do things. You can't say, send an email to Huey, because it won't know who Huey is and it can't access your email. So Gemini Live is simply a conversational, have fun, talk away, and it's great. So that's Gemini Live. But Gemini is going to be your assistant, particularly on your mobile, and it will do anything that you want, such as what I said earlier about sending Huey an email. It does have access, but it is running on your phone and is totally secure. It's not putting any information on the cloud like Gemini Live is. Now on your computer, it's very easy. You just go to gemini.google.com, and there it is, and it's a website, and you can use it. You can use it on your PC. Now, once you get a little more familiar with Gemini, you could branch out and you can use other AI products such as ChatGPT or Microsoft's Copilot. But because if you're using any of the Google products we discussed earlier, And the fact this is going to be an all-encompassing thing with Google, I think you should probably start with Gemini and get your feel around with that. It's so easy to do, and it's a lot of fun. All right, let's see what Bob has to say about how to get Gemini Live and the confusion between Gemini and Gemini Live.
There seems to be a little confusion about how do you activate and converse with Gemini Live. We are all so used to communicating with the Alexa device and the Google device, but in order to use them, you have a command that you have to use in order to start a conversation with those devices to ask them to do certain things. With Gemini Live, it's different. You're looking at my Pixel 6 and you see Gemini, and when I select it, it recognizes me. Now, this is the regular Gemini, and I have the Gemini Pro version, but next to the Ask Gemini box, right next to it, you'll notice that little symbol. Well, when you select it, that is Gemini Live. And once you select it, you'll see this new box open up, and you can see here that it is listening to me. It's just waiting for me to ask whatever I want to ask, and then it'll give me an answer. Hello, Gemini. What's today's weather going to be?
It sounds like you're curious about this new AI assistant tool. To start, how about asking about the weather for today?
I just did that. Would you give me the answer, please?
Today's going to be a sunny day in Meadow Lake with a high of 55 and a low of 26 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you. I'm doing a video recording to show off your features and how I use Gemini Live.
Gemini Live is easy to use. You can just ask your question out loud, like you did with the weather. Or you can also type out what you want to ask. Give it a try. What else would you like to ask?
Right now, just hold back and let me finish my narration for the video. As you can see here, it's interacting with me. And as long as I have it turned on, it's listening to everything I say. And if I want to ask it a question, just go ahead and ask the question. Can you tell me a joke?
Sure, here's a joke. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Want another one?
Not right now, thank you. If you no longer want to interact with Gemini Live, the only way to stop it is you see the X over here. That ends the interaction. As long as I leave this open, it will continue to interact with me, okay? And it's always listening. So therefore, there's no magic word that you have to say to turn it on. Once you select it, you're interacting with it. And it doesn't stop until you use that X. For now, thank you, Gemini, for interacting with me and allowing me to show off your features.
Anytime. Let me know if you have any other questions.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Have a good one.
Now hit the X, and that takes me out of Gemini Live. That's how simple it is to use it. Remember, this little icon to the right of the Ask Gemini box is how you start Gemini Live. And it stays on and continues to listen in the background and will interact with you until you hit the X to turn it off. I hope that helps. Stay safe, stay secure, and thanks for reading, watching, and listening.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, Bob. All right, Chris, take it away.
If you take a lot of photos and videos and you use Google Photos, you need to see how easy it is to put them together into what is now called highlight videos. It used to be called the Movie Maker. I want to show you how to do it and how it's changed on the web version and the mobile versions. I'm Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour. You can create highlight videos using the web version on a computer of Google Photos. First, I want to show you the photos and videos that I have picked out. These are all from our visit to London recently, so be careful which way you look when you cross the street. There's a video on that. There's this wonderful old train and a video. Now, these are just photos, but I want you to notice that they are motion photos. So if I open one of these photos, it plays a couple seconds of motion. You'll see why that's important in a minute. And here with this swan as well. And notice some of them have sound. Some of the sound is important and some not so much. So where do we start? Just like the old movie maker, you can start just by selecting the images that you want in your movie. And I'm going to select all of these. There's 3 videos. You click the plus, and then instead of movie, it's highlight video. Now this looks fairly similar to how it used to be. One thing I want to change, all but one of my elements are in horizontal landscape format. So I click this little button down here to say I don't want it portrait, I want it landscape. So in the video, you see the section up here where there's a length of video. I think that could have gone for a little bit longer. All I have to do is drag that over. And same with the train, and that's probably good. In this clip, we have competing sound. We have the background music and the sound in the video. What can we do? There's 3 dots here, and we can mute the video. You have to either have background music or not for the whole video. So our only choice here, if you want one set of sounds, is to mute the video. These were all just photos, remember. And yet, look at all the motion that's in the photos. I love that. This last one I don't think I like, so I'm just going to remove it. And now we have highlight video with video clips, still shots that have motion, and music. You click save, and in a few minutes, you will have a rendered highlight video. Now let's take a look on the mobile device. Now I'm going to create that same highlight video using the phone. This happens to be my iPhone, but it works just the same on the Android. Open up Google Photos. I am going to find an album of the videos and photos that I want to put in it. I will select them all and then tap the plus and highlight video. I want it to be in landscape mode, so I tap that little button and choose 16:9 rather than 9:16. Then let's take a look at what it looks like.
It's on the road. Look right. Still look.
The first thing you notice is that it's a horizontal layout of the timeline of the videos and photos. So you have to get used to a new way of working with it. If I want to adjust how much of that video shows, I have to tap on it. That expands that one video piece. Now I can move the end over to where I want it. Then you tap off of it in order to go back to the shortened timeline. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And now this one is a photo. And notice there is no motion in the photo. I showed you how a motion photo shows up on the computer, but it just doesn't do it. But where they've taken away, they have given. And it's in this thing called motion. And you have the choice of no motion or pan and zoom. So you can't have the motion from the motion or live photo, but you can have some just in and out, pan and zoom. So same thing with this one. You're not going to see the swan moving, but we can at least make the picture pan and zoom. So that's how you work with this horizontal timeline. You tap on an item, you tap off it. You tap on the next item, you tap off it. You tap on the next item, etc., etc. When you're on an item, you can choose to turn on pan and zoom. If you want to move an item, you touch and hold and then just drag it to the place where you want it. If you want to remove an item, you tap it and then remove. To get music, you tap on the music. I think I'll go with this one. When you're done, you tap Save. And it will take a minute. You'll get a notice when you have a completed highlight video. So this is a movie of Jim and Chris for 2024. I want to show you how easy that is to make. And I'm going to do this on the phone. The phone's movie maker has one little feature that I think is better than what you get on the computer. A couple things have changed. If you've done this before and you were distressed to find it missing, two things have changed. One, they used to call it movies, and you would find the movie maker. Two, it used to be under a menu called library that doesn't exist anymore. A word of learning about Google Photos, things are always changing. Almost always, the feature is there, it's just moved. So an automatic highlight video, I'm going to show you. On the phone, you tap the plus at the top, and I'll bet you this might change too, because that is not intuitive. You tap the plus and choose highlight video. Now here's the magic. I can just tap on Jim's face, tap on Chris's face, tap on 2024, and that's all I have to do. Preview, and it's going to make a highlight video of what it thinks are the best pictures of Jim and Chris over 2024. And it will also add music automatically. And the extra feature, do you notice when a photo is on there, it kind of zooms in and out? That's what the phone can do that the computer can't. And if you don't like the music it chose, you tap the little music button and you can try all sorts of other options and add your own. You can also, let's say, I like the pictures. You can save your highlight video, then you can share it with a link, send the link to your friend. They will be impressed. I want to do one more automatic movie. I want you to imagine that you're in the car on the way to an anniversary party of a couple who are good friends of yours. They said don't bring gifts, but you want to do something. Even as long as you're a passenger in the car, watch what you could do right on your phone. I just go into Google Photos. I tap the plus and choose Highlight Video. Then I find my friends. I have to tap on the little person head down here. And there are our married friends and add. I could also specify some dates, but I don't want to. I just want all of the pictures we have of them, and I tap Preview. And that is all I have to do. It has created a movie, added music, notice the pan and zoom, and it's created a 1 minute. I can save that, and then it tells me it will take a minute. And I have seen this process take anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 days. But I expect that this is going to come up real quick. That didn't take much time at all. That was about the 30-second one. And there's my video. And I can now tap the share button, create link, and link copied. Now I can go send an email to our friends and they will be able to watch this video before we even arrive at the party. What an entrance.
You should watch this video if you are over 60 and concerned about your health. You should watch this video if you've heard about ECG on smartwatches but don't really understand it. You should watch this video if you find terminology like cardiac arrhythmia and atrial fibrillation confusing, because I'm going to explain it in layman's terms. And you should definitely watch this video if you have atrial fibrillation. You go to try it on a smartwatch and the app tells you it won't work if you have atrial fibrillation. I'll explain that for you today as well. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we help seniors understand technology and help them with their health. Today we're going to talk about ECG feature on a smartwatch. I'm a retired physician who looked after seniors for about 35 years. I retired before smartwatches were available, and when this ECG feature came along, I was so excited because I thought this is a big deal, and I sure wish we had had it when I was practicing, because it would have saved a lot of strokes. So let me explain today how this works and why this is so important if you are over the age of 60. This video is made to provide you with more information. If you have any personal health concerns, you should seek advice from your healthcare provider. I personally own a Pixel 6 phone. I have a Galaxy 4 and Fitbit Sense watch. These were purchased with my own money and in no way represents any sponsorship from any organization. Because of this, we would sure appreciate it that like and subscribe. A lot of work goes into making these videos, so we would really appreciate that like and subscribe. Now, for those of you who have signed in because you have atrial fibrillation and you're wondering what you're going to do, I put a timestamp in the link, and you can go right to the end of the video and I'll explain that. We'd sure appreciate you to watch the whole video, but if you're in a hurry, just click to the end and I'll explain how we can help you. I'm just going to put a pause in the video for a moment. I recorded this session earlier this year, and since that time, I've updated my hardware. I have a Pixel 8 Pro and a Fitbit Charge 6 for my watch. Now, the reason I want to mention it now is because the Fitbit Charge 6 is an excellent choice if you want cardiac monitoring. It has all the advanced features on it that the 3 times the price Pixel watch has. So this is a great buy. The usual price is $149 for the Fitbit Charge 6. Now we are moving into Black Friday and Christmas sales. So this watch, the Fitbit Charge 6, often goes on sale for $99. Yes, $50 off. So you'll be able to get the Fitbit Charge 6 with all the advanced monitoring that the Pixel watch has for $99. It is a great deal. Now, if you're in Canada, this watch now is about $210 and likely will go on sale for around $150 Canadian. Excellent value. It does all the irregular heart rate notification and all the things I talk about in this video. Let's get back to the video now. So the 4 watches that have the ECG FDA approved feature are, of course, the Apple Watch, the Fitbit Watch, the Galaxy Watch series from Samsung, from the Galaxy 4 watch and up, and of course Google's new Pixel Watch. Please don't buy watches from cheap imports. It's not worth your health. So part of these 2 large studies, the Fitbit and the Apple study that was done, was not just on the ECG app, but it was on the next feature that came out, and that's called a regular heart rate notification. And what happens here, and the watch monitors your heart rate in the background and will tell you if you have a bout of atrial fibrillation. Wow, this is a big game changer, because no longer do you actually have to put your finger on the watch and do an ECG. It's going to passively monitor as you're going around your daily activity looking for atrial fibrillation. This was a huge feature that came out. And of course, Apple had it first. So they initiated the irregular heart rate notification into their software, and it's available today. It's easy to turn on in the app. Now, Fitbit followed suit with this. And the great thing about Fitbit was this feature had been available in a lot of their models, a lot of their older models, the Fitbit Versa and some of the older machines that they had. It worked. The sensors were all in the watches. So if you have an older device, just make sure the Fitbit app is updated on your phone and see if you can turn it on. It's most likely you can. So this is called irregular heart rate notification. So because all these devices are linked from your phone to your watch, the app sits on your phone. So when you go to initiate the irregular heart rate notification on your phone, the first thing it's going to say, are you 19 or above in age? So why would this be? Well, none of the clinical trials were done with people under the age of 19, so we have no idea if it works. Also, children have much smaller wrists on them. The size is different, so the technology may not work. We just don't know. That's why the exclusion from age 19 or below. The second part is, it says, do you have atrial fibrillation? Remember those people at the beginning of the video I said, go right to the end? Well, this is exactly the problem, is if you have atrial fibrillation, you're excluded from using this app. Now, why is that so? Well, I haven't been totally honest with you here in that the irregular heart rate notification doesn't completely monitor your heart all the time. Remember when you were doing that ECG with your two fingers on your watch? Well, you had to sit back and be quiet while you were doing that. The sensors on these watches have trouble picking up atrial fibrillation when you're moving and you're moving around. So they really want to do the testing when you're at rest. And when are you at rest the most? That's when you're sleeping. And that's why all these devices need to be worn when you're sleeping. So when I say that irregular heart rate notification monitors you, it does, but it monitors you periodically when you're at rest, not continually. So if you had atrial fibrillation and we wanted to know how many times a day you were in atrial fibrillation and things like that, it wouldn't measure that because it's not continuously monitoring it. So if you're under the age of 19 or you do have atrial fibrillation, then you won't be using this technology, and I'm going to explain next what is available for you. So it was 2015 when Apple brought in their first smartwatch. They then released the ECG app in 2018 with their Apple Watch 4. Now, the technology on the ECG app had been available for some time before the Apple Watch, and that was developed by a company called 𝕙𝕠𝕠𝕠, and they partnered with Apple for the first ECG app on a smartwatch. This was very popular, and Apple announced that it was now theirs. There was a big court battle, and the big guys won, as to be expected, and of course the rest is history. So what is the value of the ECG app? All the things that we're going to talk about regarding the ECG app, irregular heart rate notification, all the cardiac features on a smartwatch are available only for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to identify folks who don't know they have atrial fibrillation. The ECG feature is not going to tell you if you're having a heart attack. It's not going to call an ambulance. It doesn't do anything like the ECG that we have in the hospital. It only has one specific purpose, and that's to find those folks that have atrial fibrillation and a higher risk of stroke and get them help. And that's basically what it is. So let me explain why that's so important. So if you read the literature from the watch companies, they talk about a cardiac arrhythmia and atrial fibrillation. What the heck does that mean? So a cardiac arrhythmia is simply an irregular heartbeat, and there are many different types of cardiac arrhythmias. Atrial fibrillation is a specific type of cardiac arrhythmia, and that is what we're looking for and want to treat it because it's common, and a major side effect is stroke. So we want to find those folks and get them treatment. Now, the other terminology they used is ECG and EKG. This can be confusing. They are exactly the same thing. ECG is the same as EKG. Now, if you look at the graph behind me, you will see the incidence of atrial fibrillation after the age of 60. And you'll be shocked when you see that it goes up not linearly, but it goes up exponentially. And that means as we get older, the chances of you getting atrial fibrillation is extremely high, particularly in your 70s and 80s. In fact, if you get to 80, there is a big chance that you will have episodes of atrial fibrillation. So what's the big deal about that? Why is that so bad? Well, one of the big side effects of atrial fibrillation is stroke. And people often don't know they have atrial fibrillation. It causes a stroke. So if we could figure out who those people are, we can get them help and prevent it. I thought back on my own practice and all those people I saw with terrible strokes, and I could have prevented it if I knew they had atrial fibrillation before they came in. But we just didn't have this amazing feature back when I was practicing medicine. And that's why I believe with the bottom of my heart, everybody over the age of 60 should be wearing one of these devices we'll talk about today to prevent this very disabling condition. So what the ECG app does is it actually will tell you if you have atrial fibrillation. You may feel some fluttering in your chest, you may feel some palpitations, and you do the ECG app on your watch, and the ECG app analyzes this and says you do or do not have atrial fibrillation. Now, of course, what you're going to say, Ron, if you don't have any symptoms, why would you do the ECG? And that was part of the problem with the initial ECG app because you actually had to have some symptoms. You actually had to sit down, rest, and actually put your finger on the watch and do an ECG. Now, irregular heart rate notification just got better. You know who? Yes, Apple did it. They have improved the sensitivity of the sensors and software in their watches, and now don't just do random assessment, it's continuous monitoring. Yes, continuous monitoring looking for atrial fibrillation. What does that mean? It means you folks who have atrial fibrillation can now use the Apple Watch. And there's a feature on the Apple Watch called Atrial Fibrillation History. You can enroll in that. You have to have atrial fibrillation, and now it's going to track and tell how long you were in atrial fibrillation, how many periods of atrial fibrillation you have in a day, and what are some of the aggravating and relieving factors. All this information is not so important to you, but is a big help for your healthcare provider in trying to determine what type of treatment that you need or how the treatment is working. So this is a very big deal for you folks who have atrial fibrillation, and this is only available on the Apple Watch. It's called Atrial Fibrillation History, and it is easy to turn on in the Apple Health app. Now, if you don't have atrial fibrillation, then you're just going to turn on the irregular heart rate notification in the Health app. So in summary, this is, I think, life-saving. We can help all those folks who are going to get atrial fibrillation because we can pick these up earlier and get them help. It's done by using the ECG app on your watch. We now have irregular heart rate notification where it's going to monitor your heart, and if you do have periods of atrial fibrillation, it's going to pick it up and say, hey, get some help. And for those folks who do have atrial fibrillation, as long as you have an Apple product, you can now monitor your atrial fibrillation and see how the medication and treatment is working. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Okay, I'm going to just say goodbye to our friends over on YouTube. Ray, hopefully you'll be getting ready. And so I want to thank you for coming. And if you want to pop over and participate in the Q&A afterwards, we're certainly welcome to have you here. But we're going to move on now with our music outro. Ray, take it away.
Two legendary and longevity jazz musicians, Roy Haynes and Lou Donaldson. I'm doing jazz today because I remember a couple of weeks ago when I focused on jazz, I had a lot of positive comments, so I wanted to follow up with that. Roy Haynes was a legendary jazz drummer whose career spanned over 8 decades. Born March 13, 1925 in Boston, Massachusetts, Haynes began his professional career in 1945. He played with many jazz greats, including Lester Young, Charlie Parker, Sarah Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Stan Getz, Jerry Mulligan, and John Coltrane. Haynes was known for his subtle and responsive drumming style, which made imaginative use of cymbals, polyrhythm, and classic bebop bombs on the bass drum. His crisp snare drum playing earned him the nickname Snap Crackle. Now, Haynes led several bands, including the Hip Ensemble, and his albums Fountain of Youth and Whereas were nominated for Grammy Awards. He was inducted into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame in 1999. Haynes continued to perform well into his later years, celebrating his birthdays on stage at the Blue Note Jazz Club in New York City. He passed away on November 12, 2024, at the age of 99. Now, Lou Donaldson, he was born Louis Andrew Donaldson Jr. on November 1, 1926 in Baden, North Carolina. Was introduced to music at a young age. He began playing the clarinet at age 9 and later switched to the alto saxophone. Donaldson attended North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University in Greensboro in the early 1940s, and during World War II, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy and was trained at the Great Lakes bases in Chicago. His first jazz recordings were with musicians Milt Jackson and Thelonious Monk in 1952. Donaldson was a member of Art Blakey's quintet for the recording sessions at Birdland on February 21, 1954, which yielded the A Night at Birdland albums for Blue Note Records. Donaldson's career spanned several decades, and he was known for his soulful, bluesy approach to playing the alto saxophone. Donaldson died on November 9, 2024, having turned 98 just 8 days earlier. So for today's video, I've edited and combined 2 YouTube clips, and the complete links are shown below, and I'll put them in the chat. And again, thanks to my friends on the Thursday night music listening club that I host. They brought to my attention these 2 gentlemen.
I could listen to that all day long, right, Ray?
Good.
Yeah, that was great.
You must have just read my comment.
I did. I did. And Ray, you know how I can listen to it all day long?
I'm going to let you tell me.
Ray's playlist. It'll be on your playlist as soon as after tomorrow's newsletter. It'll be on your playlist, and you can just sit and listen to all your great shows, all the great music you have, all on your playlist. And I use that all the time when I'm gardening and mowing the grass and working around the house. It's great.
I never knew it would be music to garden by.
Music to garden by. There you go. All right. Listen, I want to thank everyone for coming. I know it's a bit late, but I think it was a great show. Thanks, everybody. If you have to scoot, just remember that we do have our premiere version coming on at hour. I put the link in the chat. And don't forget, we have a Thursday show coming up this Thursday. We have to sing Bob's happy birthday on Thursday. So I want you all to practice up your singing vocal cords. You're going to lead us in a rousing version of Happy Birthday to Bob on Thursday. So you won't want to
Well
miss
said.
that show. Everyone, you won't want to miss that show on Thursday. And don't forget, we have our newsletter coming out tomorrow. Should be lots of interesting things in there for you. All right, we are going to open the show up now for any. Boy, we covered a lot of stuff today. I hope there's some questions. Anyway, we'll open up. If you put your hand up, if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, all right. I have my dog in the background. I'll see if I can keep it quiet. Now, I have this Samsung. Manny, hold on. Get over here. Come over here. Sit by me. He sees a squirrel in the backyard and he goes crazy. At any rate, I have the Samsung Galaxy Ultra watch, and of course it has the ECG, and it has a caveat up front that it's only for informational purposes. And I do the testing, and it'll say it does not show signs of arterial fibrillation.
Atrial fibrillation, right?
Is there going to be an update? Do you know what that or?
There should be an irregular notification feature on there in the app. You should be able to turn that on, and it should do notification. It won't do continual monitoring like the Apple Watch, but it should do the periodic monitoring for atrial fibrillation. That should be there. It's called irregular heart rate notification.
Yeah, you explained that. You know what's confusing? Ever since I had it, when it comes up and does the test, it says sinus rhythm.
That's a normal.
Why doesn't it say normal?
Yeah, that's bad. I should have put that in the
dumbest thing I ever heard of.
I know. I should have put that in the video. Darn it all. Anyway, I should have put that in the video because that is confusing. You're absolutely correct. It just should say normal because nobody knows what that means.
I went to my only reason I know that because I have an annual visit with my heart doctor. And I showed him and I said, what does this mean? He says it's normal. And that was I felt so dumb.
Yeah. But look in the settings and you'll find it, and just make sure you have a regular heart rate notification turned on. And then that's going to be periodically checking you, mostly at night. It's going to be looking for atrial fibrillation. It's going to be continuously monitoring as you go along there. So that's something you want to make sure it's turned on.
Ron, you can always add that to the show notes.
Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you.
The other thing I just wanted to bring, another thing I didn't put in there, one of the reasons I don't like rings and I don't like the Aura ring and I don't like the new Samsung ring that has come out is because it does not do it doesn't do atrial fibrillation monitoring. And that's the whole point of this exercise. The whole point of everything we do surrounding the cardiac, this whole cardiac thing is to find atrial fibrillation. And the rings don't do that. And I suspect the reason is they haven't done the clinical trials with the rings, and probably the sensors. They don't know if the sensors are going to work as well as with the watches. I don't know, but the rings don't do it. And so I'm really, that's the whole point of the exercise. So I'm not a big ring fan. Any other questions? Huey, you've been awful quiet this morning.
I have been, haven't I?
Yeah, you haven't said much. Are you okay?
I'm doing great. There's a question in the chat from Cindy Albert, who I'm not familiar with. I think she's new, and if she is, so welcome aboard. But she said, what episode did you do for two-factor authentication? I probably have to do a search on the Tech for Senior channel to find that.
Yeah.
But we have talked about it a lot.
We've done a number of videos about that. I don't have them right in front of me.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Many of
Yeah,
them.
and I was just going to say Bob has done it too. So check Norbert Gostischa.
YouTube at Bob3160 is the easiest way to get there.
And certainly, and then scoop me if you're having problems. Just drop an email to me. It's at techforsenior.info@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. Just send me an email, and I can do that research if you can't get it. I'll put that in there. Now, and just send me a note and I'll be happy to give you those videos. Any other questions?
Just a comment on the music, just fantastic. Ray, you did it again. The range of music that you do is good, and then your choices have been wonderful. I guess the good musicians die, and so it's easy for you to pick the good ones.
And by living to almost 100 years old, each of them,
Yeah.
music does a good for everybody in a lot of different ways. I never thought about longevity though.
Well, Ray, though, musicians often have a very tough life, right? They're on the road a lot, they're eating a lot, they're under stress. A lot of them die at a very young age because they really abuse themselves. It was
Thanks to
so
alcoholism and drug
yeah,
techniques,
yeah,
they'll do that every time.
it was so interesting that these two guys they lived to a ripe old age, right? Which is quite interesting. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have an Apple Watch. I've had it for, I don't know, 3 years now, maybe four, I don't know. And I know I don't use it to its capability, and I'm wondering if I would prefer a Fitbit now. What do you think? Or if I have the Apple, since it does do the health monitoring actually better. But,
Look,
but would I need a new Apple Watch?
well, yeah, I mean, to get the continuous, the recent one that does the continuous monitoring, and I have to go back and look. I think that's the latest. It would be the last one or two. I can't remember specifically with the models, but look, Apple is by far ahead of the pack in all aspects of cardiac monitoring. It is just, it's not even, it's so far ahead of everybody else. And so if you have the Apple, if you have an iPhone and you are in that Apple ecosphere, then I would just stick with the Apple. I don't see seeing the Fitbit. The Fitbit wouldn't give you any better experience. It's not it's the Apple is just so much better. Just stick with Apple.
Just stick with Apple.
Got
Get
it.
get
And
get
the newer watch also can be
A dive
a
watch.
dive
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
by the computer.
get Jim to buy you a new watch for Christmas. That'd be my advice. But I'd stick with the Apple. It's now the only problem is the cost. They are a lot
Yeah.
more money. And when you can pick up a Fitbit, the Fitbit Charge 6 is really that's what I have. That's what my wife wears. I that's totally the only watch that I recommend now. It's got all the advanced cardiac monitoring sensors in it that the expensive Pixel watch has. It's exactly the same. And you get that, and on sale coming up, you'll probably get that for $99. I mean, there is no better deal in town, but the Apple Watch is still, it's still better. So, it just depends how much money you want to spend.
If you need
Well, and
continuous monitoring, then you have to go with the Apple.
The Apple Watch.
well, I don't need continuous monitoring.
Yeah. But atrial fibrillation, we want to know if you have atrial fibrillation, and that's what we're doing with all these. The whole exercise is all based on that, right? That's what the goal of all this stuff that we do. And you can say, well, some watches measure blood pressure. Well, so what? Big deal. And you can measure blood pressure in lots of different ways. That's not going to save lives or do anything different. And sleep apnea, well, some watches measure sleep apnea, so on and so forth. But those aren't the real, that's not really going to make a big difference. I mean, there are other ways to skin that cat, right? It's a much, but not this whole issue of atrial fibrillation and picking up people, which is common, like really common. I mean, usually if in a show like this, if I say how many people have atrial fibrillation, put up your hand, you're going to get, a lot of people. So I remember that I gave a talk 10 years ago in Mesa, and there was about 200 people there. And afterwards, I said, if you want to come, I'll set a booth up. And I had one of the cardio mobile machines there. And I said, I'm going to do a free ECG for you. So there's 50 people lined up. I thought, what? And they all lined up. And out of that group, we had picked up 7 new atrial fibrillations that nobody knew they had. And one guy, great big tall guy, he must have been 6'8", pale and looked just absolutely terrible. He had a pulse of 38. And I laid him down. We called 911. An ambulance came and took him to the hospital because he needed a pacemaker. This is all just after my talk, right? In the group of people that I had. So
Wow.
it's so common that it's you need to be aware of that. And the disaster of having a stroke is, particularly you and Jim are really active people, and you have a lot of fun in life, and you're busy and you're doing all sorts of neat stuff. The last thing you want is a stroke, right? So you
Among
want to
other
find
things,
out
but
and make
yeah,
sure that
that would be
exactly,
right down at the bottom.
Yeah, heart attack,
exactly.
stroke, any of those things. None of
You don't
those
want
look
any of
really
those,
good.
right? In fact, in a lot of the talks I did when I was back in Mesa, people would put up their hand, and there would be 5 or 6 people had already ordered their watch at Best Buy and were picking it up. They'd ordered it online and were picking it up on the way home. So anyway, it's you gotta anyway, that's just that's what it
Well,
is.
I did check. I have the notification turned on. I'm sure I did that last time you gave the talk. So,
Well, the interesting thing, Chris, is I taped this. I made this video last year right after your show. When I did your show and we talked about it,
oh,
I then did this. I gotta do it. I gotta clarify this irregular heart rate note. And I taped it. I actually recorded the whole thing and then forgot about it. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do this week, and all my notes and everything was all there. The only problem is I'd updated it to, I don't have, my old hardware anymore, so I've got the Charge 6 and, the new phone. So I had to update that, but this was actually recorded a year ago. So
okay. Got it.
anyway, that's
Good stuff.
uh yeah. Any other comments? Yeah, Carl, go ahead.
Okay, I've noticed one of my when I go to my dental office, they take my heart rate using a wrist monitor rather than the cuff on the sleeve. What do you think of those?
You're talking about blood pressure.
Yeah, blood pressure, right?
Right. Well, it's as physicians, we use the one on your arm because all the studies and all the work has been done has always been taking your brachial or your arm blood pressure, right? So when you take it, wrist, I don't personally, as a physician, I would never use a wrist one. I don't see any advantage in that, and I think you get much better measurement. But it's probably easier for what you said was the dentist office or in a
Dental office, and of
dental
course,
office.
I'm wearing my smart watch, and it never agrees. It's always way high, and
Yeah,
the beats,
yeah. But dentists aren't really, if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, you're in the dental chair and you got a long sleeve shirt on and you got a watch on, you got all sorts of stuff on. They just want
I,
to, they don't want you to you're not going to strip down in a dentist office, right? You're getting your teeth fixed, right? So that's easier for them to use a wrist one.
I think it's just perfunctory. I'm not sure it's really important.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Well, is it 20 after? We should probably say goodbye because everyone's got to have a bit of a rest before. Now you remember Jennifer is talking about technology in Africa, so make sure you watch that at half past the hour. And oh, by the way, I've already teed her up for Christmas. She's coming here for Christmas, and I said, you got to talk. Everyone wants you to talk again about some topic. So she's thinking about what she's going to talk about when she's here in 6 weeks. So we'll have another chat from her. Anyway, thank you for everyone for coming. We do appreciate you being here. Thank you, Huey. Thank you for being a great guy that you always are. Thank you, Bob, for wonderful presentation. Thank you, Chris, for a great, great presentation. As always, we look forward to yours. And Ray, keep that music coming. And that's just great. And we will see everybody back next week, same time, same place. But don't forget, we'll be also here on Thursday singing Bob happy birthday. Bye now.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.